Hi, I'm Katie Whittigan and I'm a habit designer, and I've been helping people for over 14 years learn how to create habits they want and undo habits they don't want using all the important areas of life, the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I'm here to give you an insider tip on habits and behavior. So in earlier videos, we've talked about how to undo habits that we don't want. That could be smoking or drinking or watching TV, whatever it is. And we talked about how these four areas are important when it comes to creating a web of support through trying to undo an unwanted habit. That's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. I've done a video on our physical, and now I'm going to focus a little bit on the mental. So the mental aspect is incredibly important. And I'm going to illustrate that with an example of wanting to change how much caffeine someone drinks. Let's say they want to stop drinking caffeine, but they're highly addicted to it. One of the things that can occur is that you just engage in a habit without thinking. That's kind of what makes it a habit. And when it comes to habits that we desire, like certain ways to eat or exercise, that's a good thing. We just engage in the behavior without even thinking. But when it comes to unwanted habits, what we want to do is bring more thinking into it, more awareness into it. A great way to do that is through mindfulness. So let's say someone wants to stop drinking caffeine. Then one way to do that is to sit there and drink the caffeine, but completely mindfully, meaning no phone, no newspaper, not while driving, just sitting there outside, smoking the cigarette, paying attention to how you feel while doing it. This mindfulness approach can actually be hugely beneficial because you'll start to be aware of some of the unwanted consequences of the undesirable behavior that you're engaging in. So all of a sudden, you'll notice if you're drinking a lot of caffeine, your heart's starting to race, you're starting to get shaky, and you start to feel anxiety. And all of a sudden, now you're not able to engage in the habit without thinking. Now you're very aware of what's happening while you're doing it. Same goes with smoking a cigarette. You're noticing the flavor in your mouth, the smell, how it makes your heart race a little bit, and you might be feeling a little bit more anxious actually, even though you thought it calmed you down. So thinking about all of these things while you're mindfully engaging in the undesirable habit can be a huge tactic when it comes to the mental component of undoing an unwanted behavior. Another aspect is meditation. Meditation in general is a great way to help focus the mind and attention. So again, we're trying to bring more awareness, more focus to these undesirable behaviors so that we're not engaging in them without thinking, that we become very painfully aware of all the triggers that get us to do it and how we actually feel when we do it. And then the last mental strategy is really your beliefs around this habit or this behavior. Perhaps it's first important to remember just to identify what your beliefs are. I can't calm down unless I have a cigarette, or I can't relax or unless I have a drink, or I can't socialize with other people unless I have a drink. These are all beliefs. They may or may not actually be true. In fact, if you give yourself the opportunity to challenge them and test them, you might find you can socially interact without having your drink. And that you're actually better at playing pool when you haven't had a drink, or that you're actually able to get calmer by meditating in a guided meditation through your phone app than you are smoking. Perhaps what you really like with smoking is the socialization and hanging out with other people. Well, there's other ways to socialize than in the area where everyone smokes. So you can replace that behavior with something else, and you can bring awareness to your beliefs. Perhaps you even have a belief, I can't stop this behavior. I've tried and I can't. This is what I call the failure trap. People believe they've tried it even a handful of times, and that means that they can't do it. Do you think that when they first developed the plans for the iPhone and they created it based on the plans, and then it didn't turn out exactly as they suspected, that they just thought, well, then we just can't do it? No, They took a design thinking approach. They went back to the planning and drawing board, and they said, okay, what worked? What didn't work? What do we need to adjust? And then how do we keep moving forward? Same goes for undoing an unwanted habit. Even if you tried to stop smoking several times, that's really standard. On average, people try to stop 6 to 7 times before they're successful. Why? Does that mean that they suck at it? No, it means that there's a lot of components to each behavior and habit that we do. And you have to test out all the different aspects of it till you can figure out how you're going to be successful. So when it comes to quitting smoking, for example, it doesn't mean that you can't if you've tried several times. It means that we might need to try in different ways. And it's always helpful if you think through and plan on the 4 different areas to create that web of support. Physical things you can do to support your undoing of the habit, mental things you can do, spiritual and emotional. So these are all aspects that you can plan for. If you want more help on how to apply some of these ideas to your life, feel free to go to my website. It's habitdesigner.com. The first coaching session is always free. Thank you and be well.